Mr. Birdie, members of the board, we do have 3 items for board discussion this evening. Our first item is Business Advisory Council joint statement. This time, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Aug.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding, members of the board, the Ohio Department of Education requires districts to give an annual report on the actions and progress of its Business Advisory Council. Fairfield City School District's Business Advisory Council is comprised of district officials and members from area businesses and organizations. The committee meets 4 times a year, and our meetings give us the opportunity to discuss changes in the workplace and how the district and local businesses can work together to better prepare students for life beyond graduation. It is the desire of this committee to do more than simply meet 4 times a year to fulfill an ODE requirement. We want to do things that will benefit our students. As you can probably guess, COVID has presented some challenges for us this year. However, we do plan to host Lunch and Learn for our high school students later this spring, and the topics will be selected from a career interest survey that we asked students in grades 9 through 12 to take earlier this year. So we expect to have more details on that after our next meeting, which is coming up very soon on March 3rd. I also want to take this opportunity just to say thank you to our community and business partners who have continued to work with us during this very unique year. I would also like to invite anyone who might be interested in learning more about the Business Advisory Council, possibly even joining us, to visit our page on the Fairfield City Schools website. The joint statement I provided in your board packet will also be posted on the website for the public to view. This report contains more details and information about the council and what we do. This concludes my update on the Business Advisory Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Aug. Any questions for Mrs. Aug?
I have one. That survey, I assume yes. Did it go out to D. Russell Lee, or that's old school, Butler Tech students as well?
Any student with a Fairfield email account is who it went out to.
Okay.
So yes, it would have included our Butler Tech students.
And I encourage anybody to join and take part of that. I was in it for a while, and I loved every bit of it. It's a good way to stay and get connected.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I had a comment. I'm just glad to see that the Lunch and Learn series is going on through the Business Advisory Council. I used to participate with those, and certain industries have just been hammered due to the pandemic, including my own, but I'm so glad that you guys are, finding a way to keep those types of series going. It's interactive for the students. It's important because it gives them, insight into what their skill set could actually be and what it could actually bring to a company. Gives them some ideas as to how to tailor their educational choices, and it's vitally important. And so hopefully one day I could get back to it, but, with company support. But as of right now, this sounds fantastic. I'm very happy to see this going on. Great job.
Yes, we're excited. That was a COVID-friendly choice for us, too.
Any other comments, questions? I just have one question before I turn it over to Mr. Smith. How many members are on this business advisory council? Do you know? Roundabout. I'm not looking for an exact.
Yeah, we have probably about 10 to 12.
Okay.
Attendance this year has been sporadic because of
Right.
everything that's going on, and we've had to meet virtually. So actually on March 3rd, we are going to meet in the Fairfield Freshman School Auditorium, and that will be our first face-to-face meeting this year. So we're very excited about that, to be back together, it's just meeting virtually is a little bit
Right.
different. So we're excited to come back together.
And those are local business members?
Yes.
And that includes Fairfield Township as well, the city of Fairfield?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not that there's a lot of businesses in Fairfield Township, but okay, thank you for answering those questions. I'm sorry I didn't get those to you earlier. I should have.
Oh,
but
that's
Thank
fine.
you, thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, just a quick clarification. I know at the end of, on announcements, we have the next Business Advisory Council meeting listed as March 1. Should that be March 3? Or is it the 1st or the 3rd? Just for clarification.
Is March 3rd a Wednesday?
Yes.
March 3rd.
Yes, March 3rd.
Okay. So on the announcements at the end of the agenda, that March 1 should be March 3.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Smith?
Nope, that's it for that topic.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Aug.
All right, our next item for board discussion is job descriptions, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, Mr. Birding, and board members. Periodically, our Human Resources Department takes a look at job descriptions, and there are several coming up that are going to be in need of revision. We have two for you this evening. The first one is the Director of Business Operations. And as we're revising these, we change our language around the need to have a BCI and FBI report. We've just shortened it and generalized it so that as it changes, it'll still be pertinent. Only two other changes of this job description. One is we're adding the word support for the staffing. That's always been what the business official has been in charge of, the classified employees. That name has changed to support staff, and so you'll see support throughout the document. And the major change is that we're taking the oversight of workers' compensation out of the business office and putting that in the HR department. It seems like a more natural fit for that, since it deals so much with the personnel. So that will be one of the other job descriptions that we're changing, will be the Director of HR to put that under her position. Any questions about those changes, proposed changes?
Questions? Thank you.
All right. The second job description is, the new title would be Coordinator of Elementary Curriculum and Instruction, just to make that title match the other titles in the department. The same thing is happening with changing the language for the BCI and FBI report. The major change in this job description is we've not caught this up with our change in our building configurations. Currently, the elementary person works with K through 6, but the 6th grade is the first year of middle school, so we're changing that so that middle school and above is secondary, and pre-K through 5 would be the elementary. And so that's being changed. We're taking out some language that's no longer in use. There are no longer proficiency tests. Those have been updated to diagnostic and state and local tests. The intermediate was there before when we had an intermediate school, but we no longer have an intermediate school, so that's being removed. English as a second language has changed to English learners, so that's being changed. We've added some information about title, some specific information about the resident educator program, and just strengthen the language. Any questions about this job description as proposed?
Questions?
I just have a quick question, and I apologize if, for asking it ahead of time, but where in one job description it says should hold a bachelor's degree or higher, and the other says a master's degree, does it matter in what subject, or?
Well, we certainly prefer for it to be in the educational field for both of these.
Okay.
Although it could be that a business director has a business degree. Usually our business directors have been former educators. So we're pretty wide open as far as that's concerned.
Okay, thank you. That was
We like
just
it to
a
be as closely
curiosity.
related as possible, though.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? That's a great question.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, our next item for board discussion, we're going to talk about some board policies, and I'll turn it back over to Mrs. Aug.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding, members of the board, I have 3 policies for your consideration tonight. These are all existing policies that needed significant updates in order to align them with current laws and practice. First, policy IGBE, remedial instruction intervention services. The title has been changed. It used to be called Diagnostic and Intervention Policy for Grades K through 12. This policy addresses a wide spectrum of intervention needs. The language had to be updated to bring it into compliance with House Bill 166, other state laws, and current practices. Language regarding the former Ohio graduation test and other outdated assessments has been removed. An important sentence has been added, and you'll see it there at the bottom of page 3. It reads, "The district provides all remedial supports required by law, including those related to assessments and end-of-course examinations." So this covers all required remediation. New language has been specifically added about intervention provided for students in grades 1 through 3 whose reading is below grade level. Legal references and cross-references were also updated in this policy. Next, policy IKA, grading systems. The title of this policy was also changed. It used to be called assessment. The general language of the policy has been updated to provide a philosophy of grading and language that is more clear and consistent with our current practice. The 7 statements at the end of the policy are permissive statements that have been added. Legal references and cross-references have also been updated in this policy. And finally, policy IKE, promotion and retention of students. A great deal of this policy language has been revised and updated in order to reflect current law and also to provide clarity. On page 3, you will see that the policy does retain the district's mid-year promotion policy for students in 3rd grade who were retained due to requirements of the 3rd grade reading guarantee. Additionally, legal references and cross-references have been updated in this policy as well. So those are the policies that I have for your consideration tonight. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Aug? That's a lot of work. Thank you very much.
They needed some serious updates.
Yeah. Some of them were just like thrown away and start over. That's great. Hey, Mr.